Welcome. So today we're doing a comparison video between two of the very best estate cars, or as Audi like to call them, Avants. But on my left you have the Audi RS6, on my right you have the Audi RS4. Both of these cars are the very latest versions and both are in the top of the range Vorsprung spec. Hope I said that right. But today we're going to explore the differences between them. We're going to look at what looks better, what sounds better, but most importantly help you decide, the viewer, what might be the better buy for you. Okay, so we're going to start off by walking you around the exteriors of both cars. So Audi actually facelifted the RS4 for the 2020 model year, and they're trying to sort of bring it more in line with the styling of the RS6 and the whole sort of new Audi design DNA. But what you get, especially on the Vorsprung, you get the gloss black styling pack, so you get all this honeycomb design grille in gloss black, you get these blacked out badges, blacked out air intakes, you get these circular thingies which are housing all the sort of safety tech. They've upgraded the headlights, so you now get LED matrix headlights on the RS4. You'll notice these little slats are that's just a styling thing. You do get air vents down here which are for airflow. The one slat that's probably most noticeable from the previous RS4 is that one on the bonnet, which is very similar to the RS6, which I'll show you shortly. Quite a nice sculpted bonnet, but the car just sits nicely, looks quite mean and aggressive. Onto the wheels, so on the Vorsprung you get 20-inch wheels as standard. These are called the Evo style. You get that sort of high sheen titanium finish. I think suits the car really well. You get steel brakes as standard. You can upgrade to ceramic brakes for just over £6,000. Red brake calipers are a cost extra as well. You get all these nice extended wheel arches. I think Audi call them Quattro blisters, and that sort of goes all across the car. Gloss black styling pack, you get black mirrors, black window surrounds, and you also get black inserts on the side skirts. And then when you come around to the back, you get also very nice LED lights that wrap around. Again, you've got these little sort of slats giving that little bit of aggression. All blacked out badges again, little roof spoiler. And then down here you've got the big gloss black diffuser with these nice big oval exhaust. And if you look closely in the exhaust, you can actually see the little flap which opens and closes, just adjusting that noise. But all in all, I think the RS4 is a really pretty car, especially in this color, which is called Navara Blue. But look, it's kind of eager but still quite understated. It just squats really nicely. Okay, so onto the RS6, and at first glance you might think it looks a little bit similar to the RS4, but when you get up close you'll notice all the subtle differences. The first thing you'll notice is just how much wider the car is. It's actually 88mm wider than the RS4, which means the grille is bigger, the slat here is wider, the lights wrap around a bit more. You also get actually laser headlights on the RS6 on the Vorsprung as standard, which basically gives you a much finer, more dynamic resolution of the road ahead. The bonnet is just more meaty, it's more sculpted than the RS4. Just feels like the car spent a bit more time in the gym than the RS4. More pronounced wheel arches. On the Vorsprung as standard you get 22-inch wheels in this sort of V-spoke design. They basically have this diamond cut finish with this sort of grey painted inserts. This car has been spec'd with ceramic brakes. That is a cost option. They cost £9,200. One of the most expensive ceramic brakes I've heard. And look how big they are. They save you 34 kilograms in weight, and they also means that Audi de-restrict the car further up to 190 miles an hour. Onto the side profile of the car, quite similar to the RS4, but obviously longer. I think it's 20 centimeters longer. It's also got more headroom, so there's just a lot more room inside, which we will come to. Onto the rear of the car, again, you get a similar sort of little rear spoiler back here. All the gloss black, you get a bit more honeycomb design grille down here, which is not on the RS4, and you'll notice the exhausts are just a lot wider. But all in all, it just feels like the RS6 design has been taken up a notch from the RS4. It just looks a bit more aggressive, a bit more macho, and that is really what the RS6 is all about. Okay, so onto the interiors. So I'm in the RS4. When you open the door, the first thing you'll notice is these really nice RS sport seats. So they've got that similar design to the front grille, that sort of honeycomb design, really nice and sporty but comfortable. They're electric heated, as you would have thought, but you also get massage function on these, which is quite nice. You get your Audi trademark flat bottom steering wheel. This is all made in perforated leather and feels very nice. You get your virtual cockpit up front, which is one of the best systems I think out there. You do get this infotainment screen up here as well. It does feel a little bit like it's been plonked there, but it's a good screen. It's all touch screen and all works very intuitively. The whole design of the interior is not quite as good as the RS6, as you'll see in a minute. There are lots of buttons and knobs, but it's pretty clean overall. In terms of the materials, so you've got gloss black, piano black inlays, which I think look really, really slick. You can upgrade for the carbon, which I'll show you in the RS6, but actually I prefer these. You do get a bit of Alcantara on the door inlay, leather pretty much everywhere. There's faux leather on top of the doors and faux leather on the dashboard, which maybe isn't the best, but it will do. So I'm just going to touch on some of the features that come on the RS4. So as it's a Vorsprung, you get pretty much everything thrown in as standard. Some of the key things, the panoramic roof comes as standard. You do get the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is always a good thing to have. But there's loads of tech. You get head-up displays, surround cameras, adaptive cruise control. There's loads of driving assistance and safety features as well. So there's plenty to keep you engaged and entertained. So just in the rear seat, so there is room for 3 back here. Certainly in the 2 outer seats, there's pretty good space. You know, I'm 6'1", my knees are just about touching the driver's seat. A little bit of headroom, so look, as an adult, this is definitely a pretty comfortable place to be. Maybe if you're sitting in the middle, it's going to be a little bit cramped, but you've got your heated seats back here, you've got your USB charger, so look, you're going to be pretty happy back here. Okay, so the final bit of the interior I want to show you is the rear boot. And one of the main reasons you get an estate car is all that wonderful boot space. So there's 505 litres of boot space. Look how wide it opens, so it's super easy to load, and there's plenty of room for the whole family. You can also put the back seats down flat, so you can lie larger items across, such as your bike, plant, or maybe your skis. Okay, so onto the RS6 interior, and you'll notice when you open the door a similar style of seats. When you sit in them, you'll notice there's a little bit more support. They seem to be a little bit thicker. They've got that same sort of honeycomb design, but you'll notice they've got perforated leather instead of the smooth leather finish of the RS4. That's because not only are these massage and heated, they're also ventilated. So you'll instantly notice when you sit in this after sitting in the RS4, it's a lot more spacious, but I think where it really comes into its own is the whole design of the digital displays and the dashboard and the center console. You know, it's much more integrated. It feels a lot more modern. I really like the sort of angular design. It's just very much more minimalistic and high tech, and I think that's really feels like a whole nother generation ahead of the RS4. In terms of the actual materials, so again, you've got leather. This car's actually got a full leather upgraded package, so you get leather on the dashboard, leather, proper leather on top of the door panels. You get a little bit of Alcantara like you do in the RS4, and you get this gloss black center console. This car has got this carbon fiber twill upgrade, which I think is £700 or £800, where you get these carbon twill, which is a woven carbon. It's not your usual sort of high gloss carbon. For me, I'm not a massive fan of it. It almost looks a bit fake, and you get it all up here as well. So yeah, that's one thing I'm not convinced on, but for the rest of the interior, I genuinely believe this is one of the best performance interiors out there. Just going to touch on the features on the RS6. It's actually very similar to the RS4 because Vorsprung you just get everything. Couple of points of note, the panoramic roof is a lot larger on the RS6, which is going to benefit the rear passengers. When you're actually inside, it looks like two separate panels, but it actually is one panel that goes the whole way back. You just get this divider separating it. One other thing, the Bang & Olufsen sound system, you'll notice on the RS6 actually looks like a speaker compared to the RS4, where it looks more like a sort of climate control vent. But look, it's got everything and more than the RS4. Into the back of the RS6, and you instantly notice it's just more comfortable and spacious back here than it is on the RS4. Sitting normally, my knees don't even touch the driver's seat. And even if I want to stretch out a bit, you have these little sculpted areas in the back of the seat for your knees to go. You get a bit of netting as well for storage. You get a new whole deluxe air conditioning back here, so you can set different temperatures depending on where you're sat. If you are sat in the middle, you've got quite a lot more space than you do where you're quite cramped in the RS4. You could easily sit there for a long journey. You'll also notice this is quite a cool little touch here that on the seat belts are actually illuminated, so if you're struggling to put your seatbelt in, that just lights it up for you. If you've got no one in the middle, you've also got a better armrest where you've got center cup holders too. Okay, so onto the boot of the RS6, and the first cool thing about it is you don't even need to use your hands to open it. So just with a simple swipe with your feet, so if you're carrying your luggage, that you can just load it all in. So the boot is obviously bigger than the RS4, it's actually 60 litres bigger. Audi say you can fit 9 carry-on suitcases in here. But even if you're not using all that space, if you've got dogs, plenty of room back here for dogs, and it's just a more practical car than the RS4 because you have a bigger boot. So moving on to the performance and the way these cars drive and the way they sound. So on the RS4, you get a 2.9 litre V6, which I know can sound a little bit underwhelming to us V8 fans, but I have to say this thing really does punch above its weight. It actually sounds pretty good too. So it's got 444 brake horsepower, so look, it's not going to be slow. Top speed of the normal RS4 is 155, but because it's the Vorsprung, it gets de-restricted to 174. It does 0 to 62 in 4.1 seconds, and as you go up the gears, you can really feel that speed, and the whole gearbox is just super smooth. And then of course you have that Quattro 4-wheel drive system, just keeping you gripped to the ground so superbly well. One thing I would say, having driven these cars back to back, is the RS4 does noticeably feel quite a bit lighter to drive. It's a more agile, more nimble car. So definitely if you're driving in city, you're going to find it's a little bit less stressful and a little bit more manageable. So it's worth pointing out with the Vorsprung, you get a much sportier setup. So you get the RS Sports exhaust as standard, so you get that louder exhaust note. You also get dynamic ride control and RS Sports suspension plus. So it becomes a much more driver-focused car, especially when you change the adaptive dampers into dynamic mode. The car really just comes alive, but then you can quickly switch it back into comfort mode and just cruise about smoothly and quietly. I mean, I have to say, it's just a great everyday car. Obviously got all that sort of practicality, but it's just really fun to drive. And I guess the one big benefit it has over the RS6 is that it's just a smaller car. So moving on to the Rs6 Performance, and obviously the big change here is that V8 engine. So you've got a 4-litre V8 twin turbo, and this thing is knocking on the door of 600 brake horsepower. And I have to say, getting out of the RS4 into the RS6, you put your foot down and you instantly just feel all that extra power. You feel that V8 exhaust note, and you just know you're in a different animal altogether. So this thing does 0 to 62 miles an hour in 3.6 seconds. It literally just launches off. Top speed is 189 miles an hour. Because it's been fitted with ceramic brakes, it gets that extra de-restriction, but of course you still get that Quattro 4-wheel drive giving you all that grip. One thing that it does have on the RS6 is you can actually push all that power, or 85% of that power, to the rear wheels, so just giving you a more engaging drive. One other big benefit of the RS6 is you get rear wheel steering. So basically you can actually get your rear wheels to point in a completely different direction to the front wheels, which basically gives you a lot more maneuverability, shortens your turning circle, and then at higher speeds it also means you can put them to the same direction, which means you can really turn into corners. Just gives you a lot more stability when you're driving. And then just additionally, because again this is a Vorsprung, you get that setup which is really going to appeal to the driving enthusiast a bit more with the RS Sport Suspension Plus, meaning you get the coil springs, you do away with the adaptive air suspension, and it's just a lighter, more responsive system, so you're going to get more grip, more stability, and just a better car to drive. So what I would say, you know, based on performance, the RS6, if you want that extra power, that extra noise, the RS6 is the one to have. But just bear in mind, it's obviously a heavier car, it's longer, it's wider, so you just got to be a little bit more careful when you're driving, especially in car parks and cities. Right, so let's talk some prices and figure out exactly how much these cars might cost you. So the RS4, bear in mind, is a Vorsprung, it's the top of the range, the best one you can get. So they cost from new £82,000. Any options on top of that obviously cost extra. That car is just a few months old, done 500 miles, we're asking £72,000 for it today, so nice saving on the list price. On the RS6, again being a Vorsprung, they cost from new £110,000 plus any extras. Obviously this car's got the ceramic brakes, which are £9,200, and it's got a few more extras. So I know this car cost new over £120,000. Today we're asking £116,000. But it is brand new, so again a little bit of a saving off list. But our good friends at our sister company Elevate Finance have put together some finance quotes for me, just so they can work out how much it might cost you on a monthly basis. So the RS4, bearing in mind this is at £72,000, with a 10% deposit, it's coming in at £843 a month. That's based on a 4-year agreement with a balloon payment at the end of £37,800. I mean, I think that car for less than £1,000 a month sounds amazing value. Onto the RS6, so again £116,000 with a 10% deposit. That is coming in at just under £1,500 a month, with a final payment at £53,000. So look, it's a big step up. You know, you've got to work out what you can afford and what might be the more affordable car. But thanks very much to the guys at Elevate Finance for providing that. I must say, those guys, if you're looking for a finance quote on not just these cars, any performance car, any supercar, it's worth giving them a call, because very often they'll save you money and give you an amazing service. So make sure you check out their website. We'll put it in the link below. But in terms of which car you should buy, it's really going to come down to what you want to spend. In terms of depreciation, the RS6 is likely to depreciate a little bit more. RS4s have notoriously hold their money very well. You know, you look at 2018 cars today and they're still in the 50 grand, and those on 2018 they actually cost less new anyway. RS6s at the moment they're still holding pretty good, but they should really tend to drop off a little bit. In terms of servicing, you know, these are Audis, they don't cost a lot. The servicing costs are in the hundreds, not the thousands. So either car is not particularly expensive to maintain. But yeah, look, the RS4 is the better value, but if you want the ultimate, you get the RS6. Okay, so there you have it, 2 of the best estate cars in the world, 2 of the ultimate dad cars. These are definitely the cars that are going to keep the wife happy, keep your kids happy, and obviously feed that petrol head inside of you. But which car would you rather buy? What do you think is the more sensible buy? But look, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll make another video again very soon.